Hey, Peace Collective. This is Candace Green. I'm so happy to be with you for Cherishedflight Live. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Thanksgiving weekend. Thank you so much for taking time out of just your day to join me today for Cherishedflight Live. I know you've got so many other things that you could be doing, but for you to be here is an amazing thing. So thank you. This is our third installment of Cherishedflight Live, the couch sessions. And I've been doing the couch sessions just to help us with our mental health. During the past year, you know, it has been rough. 2020 has been, I can't even think of the word to describe 2020, but it has definitely been an unprecedented year of just everything, a roller coaster of emotions and a roller coaster of everything that has been just like an avalanche on our mental health and our emotions. So the first week I talked to Maisha Rice about our young people and what they were experiencing during COVID. And then week two, last week, we talked to Erica St. Bernard, who came on board to talk about dropping our capes and taking that superwoman persona off of our shoulders. And these are all licensed clinical therapists that have been on. And today I am bringing on Jaree Cottman. Jaree Cottman. And she's an LCSW-C founder and owner of AFIA Counseling and Wellness. And I know if this is not right, she's going to correct me. I'm going to bring her on in just a minute. So here we go. Hey, can you hear me, Jaree?
I can hear you just fine. Everything was perfect.
Yes, everything is perfect. Uh, so we met back in 2018. It was November 2018 at an event. And ever since then, I've been following you on social media. We've run into each other a couple of times around the community and around the neighborhood. And God laid it on my spirit. God said, ask Jaree to do today's show about mindfulness-based therapy. So I reached out and she said yes, and I'm so happy. So thank you for joining us today, Jaree.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Candace, and I'm glad you listen because sometimes when God tells us, spirit, ancestor, whoever instructs us to do things, sometimes we don't always listen right away. So I'm glad that
Right.
you heeded, and I'm happy to be here.
Yay. I'm just excited. I'm excited about today's show and what is in store for us. So let's just jump in because I know we have a wonderful exercise we're going to be doing at the end. So let's just jump in. First, let me ask you, 2020 has been especially hard and difficult for therapists. How are you doing?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I think what 2020 has done is force us all to examine what has been working and what has not been working, and to get real and to get clear about those things. So it's a matter of perspective. I think, initially things felt hard because I think we were all resisting the change. I can't speak for everybody, but I know I was. I was like, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. And why I gotta?
Yes.
And so that makes it all the more challenging. But once I got into embracing the shifting and the change, and it's been a lot of shifting and changing for me personally this year, something opened up. And so I'm glad and grateful for that. So doing the things that we'll be talking about today is really what's been helping me get through. So if you see me smiling and dancing and just being myself, it's not because everything is okay. It's because it's been work. I put in the work to ensure that I can be in a good place mentally, emotionally for myself first, then for my family and my friends, my community, and ultimately the people that I serve and that I work with.
Yes. You're right about that shift.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time you've been with the Peace Collective. And so I want them to get to know a little bit about who you are before we dive into our topic. So tell us about Jaree and how you came to be doing what you're doing now.
Sure. So I am a mother. I have two boys. They are 4 and 7. I have my private practice that I run, and I see my clients virtually now. I'm in the office. Been nice to have a change of pace. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker or mental health therapist, a sister, a friend to many, and yeah, I'm passionate about wellness and well-being. It's really just sort of fused in and out of my life. Dance and movement enthusiast. I say I'm an enthusiast because I'm not the best, but I get excited about it and I have fun. So those things are important to me. So I think that's sort of who I am in a nutshell. I love yoga, I love dancing, I love music, and those things I get to integrate into my work, which I think is really fun and exciting. So it's really just something that just comes so fluidly and so naturally to me. And I've worked in different agencies and places prior to working independently. And I'm grateful for all of those experiences that sort of led me up to this way as I've just evolved and found different ways to support, people that are really struggling and having a hard time with life. Um,
Yeah.
mostly Black women and
Mhm.
girls that I'm working with and assisting them, achieve a life that feels good for them.
Yes, and what you're doing is very important. Not just because it's 2020 and everything that's been going on, but just in general. Um, when thinking about our mental health, period.
Hmm.
So I know this is the time of year when many people are dealing with seasonal depression. It seems like people, like our family members, pass away between Halloween and New Year's. I don't know what that is all about, but we are dealing with just mourning and just loss and just this season in and of itself. So do you see, like, because of 2020, there's like an increase in the numbers of people dealing with depression during this time?
I'm not sure if there's an increase in the numbers per se, but I definitely would say there's an increase in an awareness of the need.
Okay.
Um, Certainly more people are, again, like I started saying earlier, 2020 has really just brought all the things to the surface that make us realize what has not been working before. And so oftentimes we might be experiencing these bouts of grief or seasonal depression or this sadness that just seems to keep hanging around. And so whatever was sort of allowing us to coast before, um, it's not working anymore. So we have to reevaluate. So
Mm-hmm.
certainly people are reaching out and getting the support that they need. And I'm glad that the stigma, is lifting around mental wellness, around emotional well-being. That's probably one of the benefits of social media, is that people are talking, people are engaging, and
Yeah.
creating this sense of community almost, around like, you deal with that too? Wow, me too. Let's talk about this. How can we work on that? So
Yeah.
yeah, certainly the need is there, and people are reaching out to get the help that they need.
Yes. And that just reminds me of when you're talking about how people are actually discussing things that they haven't really discussed. And I've seen an increase, like, exponentially just through Instagram, of
Hmm.
different, a focus on Black women and mental wellness. I like that term
Hmm.
that you use, mental wellness. And
Absolutely.
how important it is, and how, a lot of times we go in the opposite direction. We ignore it. But like you said, 2020 has forced us to face some
Absolutely.
things. Yeah. Um, So I've been like going through your website, which is beautiful,
Mhm.
by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
And on your website, you have a little tab that talks about mindfulness-based cognitive therapy.
Hmm.
And I wanted to ask you to share what is that and what does it mean? How can it help?
Yeah, it's a lot of words. Um, but I'm big on pulling the layers back and making things real and relatable for people, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I'm excited about our activities that we'll get into today.
Mm-hmm.
But mindfulness is really about three components: creating a sense of awareness, being in the present moment, and releasing judgment. And
Mm.
so those things allow us to just be in the moment. And so when we think about, then we add in cognitive, which is about our thoughts. It's about how we think. And so if we release the judgment around our thoughts and around what's happening up here and really get to listen into our bodies and how it's responding in the moment, it allows us to create that awareness that then leads to creating some change.
Mm.
And so that's really what therapy is all about. Is about creating change. That's the root word. Um, Change, healing. That's what it's really all about. So if we put all of those things together, um, I that was sort of like a generated information page. It just worked out so nicely to just sort of categorize and classify what I do. And oftentimes when we start talking and we start engaging with someone, especially in the therapeutic alliance, it's happening already. Because as you start talking about what's hurting you, what's troubling you, what's challenging you, you start to create awareness. And from that
Mm.
awareness, you get to create change. It happens so easily. I mean, I can meet with someone one session and they're like, whoa, I feel better already. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This is a process. Let's commit to the process. I know you probably feel better just after one visit, but it's important to commit to the process
Yeah.
in order to really see that change happen and for you to be able to sustain it.
Yes. Now, you mentioned on your website something that I know I dealt with for a lot of years, the difference between chronic unhappiness and depression.
Mm,
Can you
mhm.
share what the difference is between the two?
Sure, sure. So chronic unhappiness is almost like a state of mind. It's a way that you think.
Mm-hmm.
But clinical depression, there's a clinical diagnosis criteria that goes along with that. And so if you're observing any combination of these clusters of symptoms, and I'll go into detail about what some of those symptoms might be,
Okay.
um, see those happening over a period of at least 2 weeks or more consistently, then that's a place where you want to get some help, and you might want to get some support to assess that situation. And so some of the symptoms of clinical depression, and I'd like to give this overview for people because you might not remember all of these little things, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really about what are you noticing about your functioning that's troubling or off-putting. Well, some of the functionings that I like to think about is your relationships. How are you engaging with other people? Are you engaging with other people? Are you withdrawn? Are you isolated? Or are you connecting with others? Are you in community? Um, how's your sleep? I ask my clients this probably almost every session. How are you sleeping? If you notice that maybe you're having a hard time falling asleep, staying asleep, or even sleeping too much, and it's impacting your functioning, that might be a place of concern.
Mm-hmm.
How's your appetite? How are you eating? Are you drawn towards certain kinds of foods? Are you not noticing that you're hungry at all? Do you feel like you're not in tune with your body enough to even be aware of, oh, you know what? I didn't even eat today. I don't know how many times I hear that. I didn't even eat. I went all day and I realized I didn't eat anything. Are you
Right.
so out of touch with your body that you don't realize that you're getting hungry or that your body is alerting you in some ways that it needs some nourishment? That can be a concern. Um, Loss of pleasure. if you're having any trouble just like getting excited, feeling drawn to the things that maybe make you happy, that you just are feeling like you're pulling away from the things that keep you going. So all of those things can be indicators of a clinical depression. And if you see those things show up for you, or even in someone that you know or love, I think it's important to examine that a little bit. And if you need support around that, then doing what's needed to get that extra help.
So then with chronic unhappiness,
that can come and go. It's a little bit more fluid. Like you might find that I'm unhappy today, or I'm unhappy at the start of the day, but by the end of the day, I'm able to do the things that I need to do. Or you might not notice that your functioning is impacted. You might be unhappy, but you can still go to work. You can still engage with your family. Still do all the things that you need to do for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're seeing a disconnect or some sort of disconnect in your functioning, that's more along the lines of the clinical depression side.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're noticing any of these symptoms, I know because we're not face to face with a lot of our family and friends anymore because of quarantining and things of that nature. But if we're noticing in conversation or on the phone or you're FaceTiming, you're like, something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you suggest would be the best way to?
Oh my gosh, my kids are yelling. Can you hear them?
No. Hey,
real
that's
life, okay?
part of being a parent. Mine is downstairs, and I've been like, shh.
Don't say nothing. Don't ask nothing. Don't do nothing. You got what you need. We already handled this. I'm doing something right now. Okay.
I'll be back at 4:00.
Right. Mommy mode. Okay.
Hey, that happens.
It does. We take the limits off. Hierarchy. There is no, this is you. Hey, we all are working from home. We're living, we are working in the places that we live with our families. And so, hey, my client got their kid walking in the room. My kid just walked in the room and asked for some fruit snacks. Like, come on, kid. Like, we already went through this. So here we are in the middle of our interview, and it's, I got some squealing happening downstairs, but it's all good.
It's all right. It's all right. I saw this meme where this dad had a sign on the door that said, "Dad's in a meeting. Don't ask him for it. The answer is no for such this, that, the other."
Mm-hmm.
We just got to do what we got to do. And that's part of what it's all about, not just for us, but for everybody. Everybody understands.
Absolutely.
This is just different times.
Absolutely. We're human. We're human. Yes. But I do recall your question, though. Your question was about being connected. And if we're not seeing people as much, sometimes it's hard to be able to assess those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so
and
we
can't
convince
them that they might need some additional help.
I'm a big fan of leading with love. And so whatever that looks like within your relationship. So if you have someone that you love, you can share with them what you notice, that I love you and something seems different about you. I'm concerned. And you can feel free to share what you've noticed, or, list those things. And when you lead with love, I don't think that there's any place else you can go. You can't go wrong with that. Now, if you're leading with a fear or a judgment, that does something to our nervous systems. So if you come at somebody with an accusation, or you are pushing a fear on them, it's very easy for their nervous system to be activated and aroused into a fight or flight mode, and they feel like they need to protect and defend themselves. But when you softly come in with love, our bodies respond to that conversely. And in fact, it is in a place of safety and comfort. And so it's important to be aware of our own language and aware of our own approaches with what's going on. Are you putting your fears on someone else? And I talked a little bit about this in an interview that I did. It was really about teens and
Mhm.
depression and mental health, because I do work with teenagers as well. And if a parent is putting their own fears and their own concerns and their own limitations on their child and their expression of their concerns around mental health, it can have a very different outcome. Then you just don't seem like yourself. I noticed that usually you would do this, and now lately you haven't been doing it.
Mhm.
Is everything okay? Is there something I can support you with? Is there something I can help you with? Very different than you need to work on this. What is going on with you? What is wrong? You are not going to be sitting up in here like this and that, just all of these things
Mhm.
that are very
Yeah.
shocking, to the body to hear it. Just imagine how you would feel if someone was saying something like that to you.
Yeah. I felt the difference in my body when you were
Yeah.
doing the examples. I felt the softness of
Hmm.
the way you were supporting before
Yeah.
versus the, wait a minute, what you
Yeah.
talking, and I'm
Right.
automatically guarded and automatically defensive,
Right.
um, with the second example that you gave us. So I know that you're going to walk us through mindfulness-based therapy, but
Hmm.
um, before we get there, I wanted to ask about with mindful, like how does it look? How does it work?
Hmm.
Particularly, I guess we're going to see, but how does it work? Like how do you employ it with your
Sure.
client?
Yeah, so it's sort of I like the word fluid. It's sort of fluid throughout the process. So it's not a breakaway like we do this and then we're going to go into doing some mindfulness based things. And so it's really always a conversation. And so just as I talked about approaching with love,
Hmm.
as you talk about the people around you, um, I get to approach from a place of love as I listen to my client's story. And so as we enter into that relationship together, I'm listening to their story. I'm collecting baseline information. Um, I'm listening to what their needs are. And so as we move through the process, I'm asking questions. I'm being curious about, oh, well, how did that start? Or when did that start? How long has that been going on? Well, if you felt like this before, how did you get through it before? Just finding different ways to engage and approach makes all the difference. And so, as I listen, I then we can sort of move into maybe some activities or something experiential that they can take away with them and move into applying in their day-to-day life. Sometimes it happens every session that there's always an experiential. Sometimes it doesn't happen every session because maybe there's just something so heavy on their heart or so much in the forefront of their brain that they might not really be in a place to, okay, let's try this. But you need to get all of that out, and
Yeah,
then once we've got all of those thoughts and feelings all through, then we can start talking about, okay, what are we going to do about it? What's something that you can do? Because you have to be able to be in a certain state of mind
yeah.
to even be able to start addressing and working on some of the challenges that might be before you.
And
And so,
then
yeah.
applying that to young people and to teenagers who
Mm-hmm.
are not necessarily willing to be open. Maybe that's with parents,
Yeah, yeah.
but
So I get to come in like auntie, like I'm a safe person. I'm a support for them. So the teams that I work with, they all say they love coming to session. I'm an adult in their life, but I'm not their mom. I'm
yeah,
not actually related to them. And so they have that freedom and that space to engage, to talk about what's happening, and I try to make it, engaging and fun for them, but they know that that's their safe space. And so everything that we talk about, I'm not going to say, okay, well, now I'm going to go tell your mom about this. Or I'm going to go tell your dad or your grandma. Like that sort of would be a breach. So it's a delicate balance. They so maybe teenagers aren't always the most forthright. But meeting, just like anyone else, meeting them where they are with their
Yeah.
specific interests, or their specific challenges or things that they might be dealing with, um, is a helpful way to just do that. So if they're into games, then maybe we're playing games together, to help them open up or ease up. Um, I would do more of this when I met in the office, but walking is a great way to relax the body and the nervous system and the mind. And before you know it, things are just flowing. Things are coming up and coming out through the walking process. So walking therapy is another way. I can even integrate mindfulness into walking therapy as well. So many different ways to make this fit and make this work, for different groups of people, different populations, and an array of challenges.
Well, that seems like the best segue into actually walking us through it, because I'm very interested now. I want to see how this works. So what I'm going to do is hand you the mic and let you walk us through this process.
Okay. All right. So I have two things that I'm going to engage with you today, and one way is a very simple practice, and so I'm all about build your toolbox, because you just don't know when you might need this tool.
Mhm.
So, if you have like a literal toolbox, right? You have all sorts of wrenches and screwdrivers, and maybe you got a hammer. And so you know that if there's a task or a project that requires a hammer, you're not gonna go for the wrench, because I mean you might be able to make it work, but it's not quite what you need. So it's nice to have a range of things that you can try and that you can use for any given moment. And so, with that, I am going to invite you, wherever you are, to just like stand with me for a moment, and we're just going to shake. And so, this rhythmic shaking that we're going to do is really a way to engage the body. And so, as you probably heard me talk about the nervous system a little bit earlier. And so, when we talk about mindfulness-based techniques, as well as employing a mind-body based strategy, which is really the heart of my work, I think it's important to be able to use the body. We may not always have all of these fancy things and, tools and contraptions that we can use. But it's nice to be able to just use what we have right in ourselves, in our body. And so sometimes I might find that someone, you talked about teenagers, right? They might come in and they're like, I'm good, I'm fine. And I'm like, okay, let's shake a little bit. Let's move the body a little bit. So, I have some drumming that I'm going to play, and I'm going to have this set up here, and so hopefully the sound is okay. Oh my gosh, a 4-year-old just walked in. You want to shake with me, buddy? You want to shake with me? All
Yeah,
right,
bring
come
me in.
on. Yeah. So we don't separate here. There's no distinction. And so we're just going to shake. So wherever you are, I invite you to just stand, ground yourself down on the floor beneath you, place your feet. And so we got some drums going. And so we don't have any words to listen to. We don't have to get distracted by the melody. And so I just invite you to just shake your body wherever you are. We've been sitting for a little bit, talking and learning and sharing. And so just notice that rhythm at the bottom of your feet. Feel it travel up your legs, into your hips, up the torso. You gonna shake with me? Okay. And we're just gonna shake our whole body and just release. And so this is an opportunity for you to just let go of anything that you might be holding on to, anything that might be in your way. If you're feeling heavy or weighed down, just shake it off.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong. There's no wrong way to do this. You're literally just shaking your body. Just a tiny bit of education as we're shaking. The shaking activates the sympathetic nervous system to create a sense of balance in the body.
Huh.
So I'm just going to invite you, if you want to like lift your arms up, you can. Take down to the floor. Just continue to let go, however you feel. All right, we want to pause right there. Yes, that was just about 2 minutes. Awesome. Woo, woo. Okay, so now we have done the shaking, and so now I invite you to come and sit back down and we're going to take a few deep breaths together. And so just as you were grounded in your feet on the surface beneath you when you were shaking, I invite you to do that again as you're in your seat now. And take a nice full breath in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth. Just repeat this a few more times, slowly and deeply in through the nose and out through the mouth. Body from head to toe, while continuing to breathe, using your breath as an anchor. All right, and we'll do 2 more. Deep breath in and breathing out. And last one. Back into the moment. You closed your eyes, which just happens naturally and normally. Feel free to open them and come back into awareness of the room and the space around you. And as you check in with your body, notice what you feel. For you, feel free to have a journal. If you have a journal nearby, you can write it down. What are you noticing about your body? I'll share because this stuff never gets old. So I shake often. Sometimes I shake in between clients, in between sessions. It doesn't take a whole lot to do that resetting. But I feel like a little buzz of energy, but like it's calm. It's not like I feel like I'm bouncing off of the roof. It's like a bottle of soda, just a little fizzy.
I agree. I feel like the shaking helped me to release any kind of extra energy that I had. But I do feel calm. The breathing helped me to come back to a calm, centered space. So Trisha on Facebook says, I feel calm and light.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Yay. I love hearing people's reflections because I'm like, I feel this stuff and I'm like, yeah, what do other people feel? What are your experiences? So if anybody else wants to hop in and express, what they notice or what they're feeling, I would love to hear any other feedback.
Also knowing that on days when I'm really stressed, I'm at work and I'm sitting and I'm typing, and I'm gonna add that shake.
Yeah.
To my day.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such a release, and we don't, again, when we're just sort of going about the motion and just doing the things that we normally do, we can easily lose track of how's my body feeling. We can, and so that's really when I talk about mind body approaches and mindfulness therapy, it's really just about slowing down, gaining some awareness. Slow down, pay attention. It's just an invitation. Because the reality is we can't live our lives slowed down. We got a lot of stuff we got to do. We have a lot of things we need to take care of. And so it may not be something that is realistic for our entire lives. But if we can just slow down a little bit in some of the things that we do, um, we can deepen our connection with those experiences. It's nothing like shaking after you've been sitting, for a long period of time. It's like, whew, I just needed that. I really needed that.
So Trisha says again, this shake reminds me of growing up watching people in church.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of it. With these approaches is that it's cross cultural. It's cross religious lines, cross spiritual lines. We all have bodies, regardless of what our backgrounds are, our social and economic status. All of these different things that can separate us can really be things that bring us together. And so regardless of who you are, how old you are, where you are in life, you can shake. And so depending on your orientation, it might remind you of certain things. Like Patricia said, it reminds us growing up watching people shake in church. It's rhythm. It's rhythmic. It's just something about just letting go. That freedom that comes with being in this place, where you just get to bring all of your cares and all your worries and just let it
Shake
go.
it out.
Absolutely. And we don't have to wait till Sunday morning either.
Right. Multiple times a day.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, as I continue to talk about awareness, again, that's what all the mindfulness based activities are focused on: awareness, present moment, without judgment.
Hmm.
And so again, when I share these things, it's about integration. It's not like do something separate from what you already do. How can you integrate this into what you already do? And so one of my favorite practices or techniques that I like to share with people is a mindful eating exercise. So we're going to sort of slide into the next activity or the next experiential. And so if you have something to eat close by, maybe a piece of chocolate or a piece of fruit or like a raisin or something, I have dried cranberries, something small that you can enjoy. This will be your opportunity to now engage with a mindful eating practice. And so we all need to eat. Eating is what we do. Again, across cultures, food brings people together. But so often we go about life without really being connected to our food. I don't even know what percentage of my meals, like in grad school, like were eaten in my car. I was just like going to and fro. Grad school just stands out for me, but I'm sure there's probably other periods of time in my life where I'm like, I'm just coming and going, like something grabbing something quick to eat, or even if I had something that I packed, I'm eating it on the go. And
Hmm.
if we're doing things simultaneously, we're not able to really focus in and getting what we really, really need from that. And so this is one of the reasons that I love mindful eating, because it gives us that invitation and that space to do so. So I invite you to take whatever the thing is that you have. Like I said, I have a little dried cranberry. And I just want you to think about what you have here in front of you and just take a look at it. So we're going to be connecting with this piece of food with all of our senses. So before you jump into eating it and throwing it in your mouth, I've done this in different spaces and places before. People are like, ooh, chocolate. And they just like shove it in their mouth like, no, wait. Not yet, not yet. So before you rush to throw it in your mouth, like take a look at it. Look at the shape, look at the textures. What do you notice? And these are like sort of quiet, reflective questions for you. Just seeing what you notice about this thing that you have before you. Um, so I thought I had one cranberry in my hand. There were actually two of them stuck together. So I'm looking at the shape of it. I'm looking at the detail and the design in it. This is not something I would have noticed before. I got a bag of like fresh cranberries the other day, for, to make cranberry sauce. I never made it, but my youngest son is so used to having dried cranberries. And so he saw the fresh ones and he was like, "Hey, wait, what's this?" And I know what they look like when you slice them in half, what the inside looks like. And I'm being reminded of what the inside, looks like when I'm just looking at this dried cranberry, because I can see that detail. I would never notice that. I just sprinkle these in my oatmeal or in my yogurt or whatever. But today I'm noticing that. I'm noticing these small little details, the um, almost like the geometry, the inside
Mm,
of this thing.
mhm.
It's very fascinating. So again, just looking at it, observing, and then depending on whatever it is that you have, maybe it has some other, you can engage with a sense of touch. If you have a piece of chocolate, maybe it's starting to melt at this point because it's in your warm hands. And just noticing a small detail like that. Um, you get to listen in. Is it making any noises? Sometimes, depending on what you have, it might have a little crackle to it, or some sort of sound that comes along with it. And so then, once you've taken a moment to engage with your food and just pay attention to it, then I invite you to place it on your tongue, but don't chew right away. Just leave it. Is it melting? What are you noticing about it? And once it's sat there for a moment, and slowly chew. Take about 20 chews. Normally we would be like, what's the next one? Slow down. What are you noticing? What's the flavor like? Sweet, salty?
Hmm.
Does it taste different from the last time you remember eating it? And then allow yourself to swallow it. And then just pause and notice how you feel. And so all the while, I didn't say this verbally, but all the while you're breathing throughout this whole thing. You're breathing, you're slowing down, engaging your whole body in this experience. And imagine what our meals could be like,
Oh, wow.
if we just started that slow down approach, just being able to enjoy it a little bit more. Sometimes we might eat less because you realize that you're satisfied. You allow yourself to be satiated by the food. And so those are things that we can easily miss out on when we're so busy. So just being able to slow down. I see a comment just came through. Eating slower is in general is good for you. Absolutely. And so when you fuse in, it's good for you nutritionally, for your digestion. Absolutely. And it's also good for you mentally and emotionally because now you're connected with your food. You're connected with what it is that you're putting in your body. And if we approach our eating in general with that slow down intentionality, maybe we might make different choices.
Mm,
Maybe we might appreciate what we have a little bit better or differently.
yeah.
Hmm. So I said a lot. Any thoughts?
That was good. And here's
Hmm.
why I think. Um, when you were describing how you in grad school, you were constantly on the go.
Hmm.
So therefore, really sitting down to enjoy a meal was not really an option. It was just to get it down so that you wouldn't be hungry. Um, and being intentional about examining the food, maybe
Hmm.
smelling it, um, putting it in your mouth, not necessarily chewing, you know, this is really what enjoying the food is all about. And like you said, Nariana says the flavor lasts just a little bit longer because
Mm-hmm.
you're taking time to really connect with what you're about to eat. So it's not just you scarfing it down, it's you enjoying what you're about to put into your mouth. And I just really, I don't know, that kind of changes some things. Slow down when you're
Yes.
eating so you
Yeah.
can actually enjoy the
Mm-hmm.
flavors. And I
Mm-hmm.
find that I do that after I've fasted, like when I do
Mm.
a fast, and then I come
Mm-hmm.
back into eating. And I'm eating slowly because I'm fasting. I have fasted. And now I'm, enjoying the fact that I'm eating and I'm smelling the aromas and I'm enjoying everything. And then all of a sudden life takes over and I'm back to where I was. Um, Yvette says the textures of the little Heath toffee candy bar are very noticeable in a way that I didn't pay attention to before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Just
like
just
this
little
exercise.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can do it with anything. A cup of tea. I've done it with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee to just slow down and enjoy it. Notice the color, the smell, just like take it in, and sip slowly, allowing yourself to savor it. And
Yeah.
so, and so I also want to, share with you all, and I won't go real deep into neuroscience because this is a new thing that's like come up as I'm learning more about these mind body practices, is that not only does it just feel good in the moment, we get to change our brains when
Wow.
we are engaging in these practices to slow down. And so we get to create new neural pathways in our brains
Mm,
when we engage in a new activity or exercise. It's different from what we've done before. And so then becomes a greater ease with it. And so it just happens naturally and normally. And so now, I wasn't always somebody, I didn't know what meditation was or deep breathing or all these different things I'm learning about. But now there's an ease that comes with it the more that I do it. And so my hope is that for all of you, that the more that you do these things, the ease that comes with it. I find myself in situations that can take my breath away.
yeah.
But because I have been developing this practice, and don't get me wrong, it's still a work in progress, around slowing down, around just like taking my breath, it just happens now automatically. I'm driving and somebody's getting really close behind me and it looks like they're going to crash into me. And then all of a sudden I can
Yeah.
back. And after a few rounds, you can bring yourself back into that place of balance, into that safe, calm place where you need to be in your body. So we have an ability to do that through these practices, that we can slow down and then we can develop this ease so we can have new practices that help us create a better sense of balance for ourselves.
You know what? I was just thinking as you were talking about my husband, and we always kind of made fun of each other because my husband, when he eats, takes his time. His whole family,
Mm,
they take their time when they're eating, and he will have like tea. He'll drink tea with milk, and he'll watch as the milk like explodes through the tea, and he'll take like
yeah.
he really enjoys that, and he really
Yeah.
just takes time to enjoy his meal. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
I am okay, once I'm done, I gotta start cleaning up. I'm up. I'm taking plates before people are done eating.
Yeah.
But it is the slowing down everything to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the moment. Really,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so meditation, mindfulness, all of these different things that can be part of our everyday lives and everything that we do, from our breathing, from brushing our teeth, to saying your prayers, to slowing down and enjoying a cup of tea. I love that. I love hearing about, I'm like, oh, now I want to, now my tea is cold. I want a nice warm cup of tea and just to enjoy it in that way that you described, the way that your husband does. That sounds like such a treat.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to build resiliency, right? So if we look forward to these things and the small things become big things,
Yeah.
we are building resiliency so that when the next challenge comes up or the next issue or the thing that we face comes up, feels like it doesn't have to weigh as heavy on us. And we've
Mm.
been getting hit back to back, with all sorts of things coming up in this world this year. But when we get to have that bounce back ability from these things that happen, it's like, you know what? It's all right. It's okay. So yeah, we get to build resiliency too through slowing down and enjoying these things. I remember one of my slow down moments over the summer was the sunrises and the sunsets. Like I was all in, like just to notice the colors in the sky and how things would be coming together. Such a simple thing.
Yeah.
Um, but it made me so happy. It just brought a lightness. And so then my boys started noticing that and they were like, Mommy, you gotta come see this. I'm like, what is it? It's like pink and purples and oranges, like all in the sky at one time. And it's just a small thing. It doesn't cost any money. It's an experience that you get to enjoy. And again, it helps to strengthen your sense of wellness and well-being.
And also with the sunrise and sunset, it's a slow process.
Right. Yeah.
So it slows you down
Right.
to
Right.
experience the full beauty of the moment. But
Hmm.
you have to sit in it. It's not
Right.
going to happen like that.
Right.
And that is the lesson of
Hmm.
slowing down your breathing and everything to enjoy being in the moment.
Absolutely. Yes, that's
I
it. I get so excited about this stuff. I'm like, yes, that's it. I could go on and on. Like Candace, we could probably be on here for another hour. Like, so what else did you notice? So many things, so many things. But I hope that this is helpful to somebody somewhere, and that you're building up your toolbox to strengthen during life's challenges.
uh, I really, first of all, I appreciate you
Hmm.
for bringing this awareness to us, and also just for the understanding of how putting in these different tools in our toolkit will help us on those days when we're really stressed out. We need to get up and shake. So, Trisha, when you're in your classroom, your virtual classroom, and the children have gotten to you, get up and shake,
Hmm.
and then sit down and you breathe. And then when you sit down to eat something, be intentional about enjoying what you're eating instead of just let me get it in while I'm working and not
Right.
taking a break.
Hmm.
Uh,
Right. Yeah. So even if you can't, like, the reality is like, look, I got 15 minutes. Take the first minute and slow down. And then from there, all right, let me get this in, I get it in my body. But just even that, can be so helpful and so powerful.
yeah. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. And I wish we had a little more time where you could talk about just the how this employing these things into our lives actually changes our brain pattern.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the things I talk about is changing our inner narrative.
Hmm.
So that, like I said, I dealt with chronic unhappiness, and I
Hmm.
literally have to switch how I'm thinking, and to speak life over something instead of automatically thinking, okay, when is this other shoe going to drop? No, I have to think in a different way, but to be intentional and I never thought about just slow down, and then allow yourself to be in that moment. This is great. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, just to be able to slow down and put things in perspective, it can really go a long way. And like I said earlier, the more we practice, the greater ease comes with it. And so if your focus is on making that shift, then it just becomes a thing. Like it just rolls off my tongue now. Some people can find it annoying, like, Jaree, no, it just is what it is. Don't try to see the other side. Don't try to give something the benefit of the doubt. It's a mess. And I'll be like, but maybe it could be an opportunity for you to learn something different.
And they're like,
It just rolls now. I love it.
but it is an opportunity. This year has taught us how, many of us, how to rest and how to listen to our bodies when, or how to trust God, or how
Yeah.
to, you know what, I can't control any of it. So
Mm-hmm.
how to surrender.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, that's how I'm seeing this year. Because
Yeah.
we can't control any of it. We can't
Mm-hmm.
control any of it, but we can control ourselves and our response to it. And so I really love what you have brought in now that I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
incorporating, not just me. I see Patricia saying, yes, I definitely will incorporate this in my day. Yes, very helpful. And I know that these are just tools. It's so small, but so impactful.
Right. Right.
And I won't make fun of my husband anymore for the way he eats so slowly. I'll say, you know what, you've been onto something for years. I've just
Yeah.
been missing.
Absolutely. It's a gift. It's a gift for sure.
So I want you to tell our Peace Collective how they can get in touch with you. Your web address, your social media handles. How can they
Mm-hmm.
find you?
Sure. So my business, my website, for my practice is therapywithjaree.com. That's therapy, THERAPY, with Jaree, JAREE.com. And that's how you can contact me if you have questions or concerns. I will give the disclaimer that I'm not accepting new clients for individual therapy right now. It's a little tight, and I love to provide the best quality of care as I can. It gives me space to take care of myself and the people I serve. So right now, I'm not accepting new clients. However, I will be starting some groups at the start of the new year. And groups are so powerful. Like, again, we could do a whole nother session on the power of groups. Like, even this right here, this is a group that's happening, community healing, like people are talking and sharing and, being seen and heard. Like, it's so powerful. So I have groups coming. We get to do more mind body based skills in the upcoming year. So my social media handle, my Instagram is Jaree, JAREE _ LCSW-C. That's licensed clinical social worker certified. I know it's a lot of letters, y'all, but bear with me. So that's my Instagram, and then my business Facebook page is AFYA, AFYA, Counseling and Wellness Services. So I'm on all of those platforms, either me or my virtual assistant. Shout out to Grace. Thank you for helping me out. If you have any questions about what you've heard here today, shoot me a message. Even if I can't serve you, I'm a connector. And so if there's something that I might be able to assist with or connect you with, I would be happy to do so. So, yeah, those are some things I got. You can follow me, and I'll post updates and when groups are coming, or if there's another event. I will be speaking at an event December 8th with the Black Mental Health Alliance. I don't know if a flyer has gone out for that yet, but if it does, I will post it on my social media pages, where we'll be talking about movement. Very similar to what we started with, movement as a way to create a sense of healing in the body.
That's awesome. And I know that I will put up a card that will have all of your contact information on there. And then when you post your speaking event in December, I'll repost it so everybody will know. To be able to come on there, and I hope it's virtual so people will be able to be able to register and participate from their homes.
Yes,
Thank
free
you.
and open to the public.
I thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. This has been
Thank you,
great.
Candace. Yes.
a great way for us to spend our Saturday. And
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that my Peace Collective will join me again. Next week is our final installment in the Cherishedflight Live, the couch sessions. I'm going to be talking, Maisha Rice is coming back. We're going to be talking to our seniors.